Welcome to the HohO Show, rated the #1 most listened to podcast on Pluto. So join us now as we discuss news, politics, current events, and so much more. So clear the airways and strap in as we defend the Constitution. Because freedom matters.
We are broadcasting live from the Cottage Studio, so welcome to the HohO Show. And as always, I am your host, HohO. So welcome everybody. Welcome Spreaker. Welcome Twitch, YouTube, Mixer, Periscope, and Facebook. How y'all's doing? Hope you guys are doing good. I really do. Again, we are not quite as nice of a day. I mean, it's still a pretty nice day, though. You know, we got some rains coming. We got a thunderstorm coming. Thundercats. Bowling balls and pins. I don't know what other kind of things are out there. By the way, I'm joined in studio by Mr. Ray.
Hello.
Yeah. So, how are you doing today?
Good.
Awesome.
I'm awesome.
I'm awesome too.
Yeah.
So, guys, we are going to be discussing today on this, the next installment of the Knowing the Constitution series. We're going to be talking about Article 1, Sections 1 through 5. I was wanting to do like all 10 of them, but guys, that's a lot. That's a lot of information. We were going to be here a while because there's kind of a lot to break down. There's really not a whole heck of a lot to talk about in the first 5 sections, but there are some definite things I want to talk about in them. And of course, the second half of Section 1, there's a lot more stuff to talk about. So, you know, I guess we should just dive right into it. What do you think?
I even brought my reading glasses.
I know. I'm so proud of
Awesome.
you. I'm so proud of you.
Yes.
Unlike last time.
Yes. Thanks.
It happens, I guess.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So we're going to go ahead and dive right into it. Starting it off, we the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. That's right.
Amen.
Now, we've all learned that one, except for Joe Biden. Because he apparently, I don't know if it was this one or if that was like the thing to the amendments. Yeah, that was the thing to the amendments, you know. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men and women people are consecrated. You know, the thing, you know, he's total misspeak on that. I thought it was hilarious. I got a kick out of it. It was funny for me. Is that, okay, cool. So yeah. So Article 1 talks about the legislative branch, okay? And there's some things in here that even though they were changed by like Article 17, or I'm sorry, Amendment 17 and the amendments and Amendment like 20 on some of them, I got to be honest with you, I don't like the changes. One of the reasons why I don't like the changes of this particular section is because I know what we are. Okay, guys, let me give you a little rundown right quick. Before we dive too much into this, let me give you a rundown, okay? The United States of America is kind of like Star Trek, you know, the Federation of Planets. That's what we are,
Right.
okay? Illinois is a state, just like Canada is a state, is a country, okay? Illinois is a country. California is a country. Georgia is a country. All 50 of us, we're countries, okay? We are individual countries that have joined together under a flag, under a union for the sake of, you know, power in numbers, for the sake of just this whole experiment, for the sake of trade, foreign trade and whatnot. Okay, that's what this whole thing is, all right? A lot like the EU. I mean, that's what the EU is. You know, it is a union of countries that got together, and there you go, okay? So the US of A, that's what we are too, okay? That's technically speaking, that's what we are. That's why, okay, whenever you go, and maybe being only in the U.S., you may not really be, you know, you may not really hear this, but when other people say, in other countries, say a state, okay, like whenever Canada is talking about the state, they're talking about the country, the entirety of Canada. Mm-hmm. They're not talking about a province like Ontario, right, like Manitoba, like Saskatchewan, like I think there's like 7 of them. I've been to 5. I'm only missing 2. So there you have it. All right. That's why some of the things was done the way that they were, because the state of Illinois is a country. Okay. And we'll get into that in one of these other sections. All right. So Article 1, Section 1. All legislative powers herein granted shall be vested in a Congress of the United States, which shall consist of a Senate and House of Representatives. Okay? All legislative powers. What's a legislative power? That is the power to write a law. These are important. All right? These are important. Why is this important? Well, think about it, guys. And I'm going to bring up something. I didn't actually intend on doing this, but because it's like a toss-up. Am I bringing it up now? Am I bringing it up later? Because it's definitely got to be brought up. It's so got to be brought up. But I apparently don't. I don't even know where the heck I put that stinking thing. Just to be quite honest with you, I don't know where I saved it. I saved it somewhere. It's in here. I know it is, but. You know what? Here's what I'll do. This is what I'm going to do for you. All right. I'm going to bring this up. All right. I'm going to bring this up. Yeah, there it is. I need to put this on. I need to put this on my home screen somewhere. I thought I had it. Oh, there it is. I see it. It was on my home screen. All right. So here's the thing, guys. Here's what I want to tell you. Now, granted, all powers of legislation. Okay, that is the power to write a law that we, the people, are held to account. We have to follow these for threat of, a fine or jail time or thing of the like. Okay. Between the years of 1998 and 2006, all right. So between the years of 1995 and 2016, okay, the legislative branch wrote 4,274 laws. The executive branch, oh wait, hold on, let me rewind this. A law, meaning it passed both chambers of Congress, it got sent to the president, it got signed, it became law. That's how laws are done.
Right.
That's a law, okay? All laws power legislative branch, okay? The executive branch, within that same time frame, 1995 to 2016, wrote in the form of regulations that carry the weight of law, as in fines and jail time, wrote 88,899. That's a total of 93,173. Let me break it down to you in percentages. Okay, between the years of 1995 and 2016, all the rules, the laws, the regulations that you have to abide by every single day of your stinking life, Congress, people who are beholden to the people whom they have to listen to us because we are the ones that voted them into office, they only wrote 4.59% of the laws that you have to abide by every single day of your life. The executive branch, not the power to write laws, but they wrote 95.41% of the laws and regulations that you have to follow each and every day of your life. Gross misuse of power.
Yeah.
Now, before we actually put too much blame on the executive branch, now this is going to have to wait for next week's episode, because Congress has a power that they can really rein this, abuse of power off. They can rein it in if they wanted to, but they don't. But that we're going to discuss on the next one when we discuss the second half of Article 1 of this. Okay, so let's go ahead and continue. Section 2, or Article 1, Section 1 is pretty stinking small. That was it. Section 2, the House of Representatives shall be composed of members chosen every... Hold on, let me minimize this. Oh, crap, let me minimize that. Okay. The House of Representatives shall be composed of members chosen every second year of the people of the several states, and the electors in each state shall have the qualifications requisited for electors of the most numerous branch of the state legislature. No person shall be a representative who shall not have attained the age of 25 years of age, 7 years a citizen, and you got to live in the state in which you represent. There's other words in there, but I'm paraphrasing, obviously. Next paragraph, representatives and direct taxes shall be apportioned among the several states which may be included within this union according to their respective numbers, which shall be determined by adding to the whole number of free persons, including those bound to service for a term of years, and excluding Indians not taxed. 3/5 of all other persons, which was also changed by the 14th Amendment, and of which case they are, yes, talking about slaves on this. The actual enumeration shall be made within 3 years after the first meeting of the Congress of the United States, and within every subsequent term of 10 years, in such manner as they shall by law direct. The number of representatives shall not exceed one for every 30,000, but each state shall have at least one representative, and until such enumeration shall be made, the state of New Hampshire, and it gives every one of them that the 13 original colonies had. Basically, that entire portion right there was basically talking about like the census, the one that we just did this year. That's what that is. That's where they get those, how many people are living in these places. The census, which is prescribed by Article 1, Section 2 of the Constitution, that's why we do that, okay? There you go. Pretty simple. Pretty straightforward. Nothing real major on that right there. Let me move on to the next couple paragraphs, and we are still in Article 1, Section 2, by the way. When vacancies happen in the When vacancies happen in the representation from any state, the executive authority thereof shall issue writs of election to fill such vacancies. The House of Representatives shall choose their speaker and other officers, and shall have the sole power of impeachment. They have the sole power of impeachment, which is, we just went through that, so we know what that is.
Right.
And with this other one, the any vacancies that happen, an election has to take place. Of course, California just went through this not that long ago, a few weeks ago, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, just a few weeks ago. They went through this very thing, okay? Right before the election, but the vacancy was there. They had to fill it. They held a special election just until the normal election takes place. That's exactly right there in the Constitution. That's what they're supposed to do, okay? So Section 2 then is pretty straightforward. There's not a whole heck of a lot to really dive into and, discuss on that.
I do have a couple questions for you on that.
Go ahead.
More of what your opinion is. It says the representatives every 2 years elected. Yes. And I've heard this from many people over the years, saying that these representatives get elected every 2 years, but they spend a whole year just on their campaign and not really doing the work of the people.
Right.
That is a legitimate argument that I've heard.
True.
Representatives 2 years, and we'll get into it. Senators 6, presidents 4.
Actually, it's it is, I believe, 6 years. Hold on, let me double check on that. I think it is. Keep asking.
Yeah. Well, anyway, the representatives have to be elected every 2 years, and they spend half their time just campaigning instead of doing their work. What's your opinion on that? Do you think 2 years is enough, or should all three things be just as equal? Like, should a senator be 4 years just like the president, and a representative be 4 years, or what's your thoughts on that?
I guess it is every one of them every 2 years, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
That's
because if they're going to spend a whole year just basically doing their campaign and not really working for you.
Well, all said and done, okay, and we kind of get into this a little later anyway. Overall, there's not a whole heck of a lot on the federal level that these guys are supposed to be doing in the first place.
Right.
You know, so I mean, 90% of their time was spent back in their own state, you know, talking with the people, basically campaigning, you know, talking with the people, finding out what it is that they were, you know, supposed to be doing. But 90% of the time, you know, or at least 80% of the time, they're in their respective states. They're not in Washington, D.C., because the job of the legislative branch wasn't so time consuming that they had to spend their entire lives up there.
Right.
That's why in here, Washington, D.C. has no representation in the legislative branch. Why? Because they're not supposed to be there full time anyway.
Right.
You know, that's why. You know, it's a separate entity altogether, kind of like the Vatican in Italy. You know, it's its own entity. Yes, it resides within the walls of Italy, but it's its own entity.
But what they should be doing versus what they really are doing right now, do you think that should stay the same, or should that be changed?
You know, in a matter of speaking, I have no problem with it being the same, just for the simple fact is that gives us more of an opportunity to kick them out of office.
Right.
You know, I mean, we have this wonderful thing called the internet, and in which case we can look up their voting record and everything else and really hold their feet to the fire. Yeah. Whether we do that or not, that's on us. That ain't on them.
Right. My second question is, and being the fact that when this was written, populations were much, much, much smaller than what they are right now.
Yes.
They're saying every 30,000 people.
No more than one for every 30,000 people.
Right.
Yes.
If you had a chance, would you agree to raise that past 30,000, being that the population is much greater now, or would you keep it like it is?
In all honesty, I'd keep it like it is, because I mean, think about it. You know, if we raise it, what's the problem that we have as a society right now? We don't pay attention.
Yeah.
If we did pay attention, a lot of these people that have been in office for 40, 50 years, like, you know, Schumer, like Nancy Pelosi, if we paid attention, they wouldn't have been there.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, that's not, you know, the fault of anybody's but our own.
So your consensus would be more that the people as a whole, including us, we created the problem, not what's written.
Exactly. Yeah, we created the problem because we don't pay attention to politics.
Right.
You know, instead we'd much rather watch, you know, Lost and watch Dancing with the Stars and the Kardashians and watch America's Got Talent and Britain's Got Talent. You know, we don't pay attention. Mm-hmm. That's the problem. If we put, you know, we double the amount of representatives there, is that going to fix the problem that we don't pay attention? No. That just, you know, puts a, you know, 50% of the people that are in there are going to be, you know, freshmen, and of which case, man, they're going to be corrected by the rest of them.
Right.
You know, I mean, that's not going to change the problem, you know, because the problem is people not paying attention.
Okie dokie.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah. All right. Moving on.
Moving on up.
Moving on up. Now, this is where we start getting a little interesting, okay? Because this one, I've got some stuff to talk about.
Oh, boy.
Section 3. The Senate of the United States shall be composed of 2 senators from each state chosen by the legislature thereof, which was changed by the 17th Amendment, for 6 years, and each senator shall have 1 vote. Now, let me stop right there.
Okay.
Why? Why? The House of Representatives has 435 members. The Senate has 100, 2 representatives from each state. Why? You see, the House of Representatives are just that. They represent the people of their respective states, which is why it is based off of the population of each state. That's why it's like that. That's why you have some states that only has 1 representative in it, and some states have like 13 or however many they're in there. Okay? I don't know all the numbers. But that's why, because it's not based off of them being a state. It is based off of them being, you know, part of we the people, population driven. That's why there's 435 members in the House of Representatives. The Senate has, now this is amazing, guys. This is amazing because, see, remember what I said earlier, okay, that each state is its own country. Now, if you are the state of Rhode Island, tiny little thing, okay? but your voice is going to be drowned out by every single other state of the union. Why would you join a union where you have no voice?
Right.
Okay? That's why the Senate was formed with an equal voice to each and every state in the union. The state of Illinois has just as much of a voice as the state of California, even though their populations are very, very different. But that's why, because each and every state is on a level playing field, and each state of the union has a voice in the federal government. Okay? That is why I wholeheartedly disagree with the 17th Amendment removing the state's ability to choose their own representation, and they handed it off to the people of said state. You know, they're elected by popular vote. They're not elected by the legislation of that state. Because that's the thing, guys. Even though they are technically chosen by the state, they're still chosen by the state by people who were elected by the people. They took the state out of it. They removed the state's choice, the state's voice in the federal government. That, to me, is a travesty. And it goes against everything that the Constitution was built upon. Everything that the country itself, the Federation, represents. That's why I don't like it. When you understand what our nation is, what the US of A is, that was a travesty. It really was. Okay? Moving on. Immediately after they shall be assembled in consequence of the first election, they shall be divided as equally as many by into 3 classes, and of which case they're dividing it up to where every other year a third of the senators are chosen. Okay, that's all this entire paragraph is talking about. Well, not all of it. Yeah, they're chosen every second year. And if vacancies happen by resignation or otherwise during the races of the legislature of any state, the executive, therefore, may make temporary appointments until the next meeting of the legislature. You see, they're elected by the legislature, which shall then fill such vacancies, which again was changed by the 17th Amendment. Next paragraph, no person shall be a senator who shall not have attained the age of 30 years, been a citizen for 9 years, and you have to live in the state in which you represent. The vice president of the United States shall be president of the Senate, but shall have no vote unless they be equally divided. The Senate shall choose their other officers and also a president pro tempore in the absence of the vice president, or when he shall exercise the office of president of the United States of America. The Senate, next paragraph, shall have the sole power to try all impeachments. Gee, we just got done doing that.
Yep.
When sitting for that purpose, they shall be on oath or affirmation. When the President of the United States is tried, the Chief Justice shall preside, and no person shall be convicted without the concurrence of 2/3 of the members present. Not the total members, the members present. Let me reread. No, I'm not going to reread that paragraph. What's that say? Oh, that says that the power to try the impeachments is done by the Senate, not the House of Representatives. Why were they in there? Because they were trying to be little pains in the butts that they were. They had no jurisdiction in that room. That's what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. The impeachment is done by the House of Representatives. The trial is done by the Senate, and none has any jurisdiction in the other. It's kind of like, you know, a state trooper in Illinois going over to California and trying to arrest somebody. It don't work.
So when the Speaker of the House demanded the Senate follow XYZ rules on the trial, she, according to this, she pretty much has no right to do that.
Yeah, she had no right, and the Senate had no obligation to listen to her. That is
right there.
Constitutional truth. Anyway. Next paragraph. Judgment in cases of impeachment shall not extend further than to removal from office and disqualification to hold and enjoy any office of honor, trust, or profit under the United States, but the party convicted shall nevertheless be liable and subject to indictment, trial, judgment, and punishment according to law. In other words, he doesn't just get off scot-free just because he got removed from office. Oh no, he can still be held accountable by, what he did in not just civil, but also criminal court. Ta-da! There you go. Section 4. We're actually getting through this. Not too bad. Section 4, the times, places, and manner of holding elections for senators and representatives shall be prescribed in each state by the legislature thereof. But the Congress may at any time, by law, make or alter such regulations except as to the places and choosing of senators. Why is that important? Which might I add that this was not changed by the 17th Amendment. Ta-da! Right there it is. You can't read that, but trust me, it's there. Page 3 of your pocket Constitution. There you have it. Why is that? Oh, yeah, that's because they're chosen by the state. Ta-da! There you go. .com. Next paragraph. The Congress shall assemble at least once in every year, and such meeting shall be on the first Monday in December, which was changed by Section 2 of the 20th Amendment, unless they shall, by law, appoint a different day. So, yeah, Section 5, we're done. That was the first half. No, wait, Section 5. Okay, Section 5. I got to do Section 5. I forgot. Anyway, each house shall be the judge of the elections, returns, and qualifications of its own members, and a majority of each shall constitute a quorum to do business, but a small number may adjourn from day to day and may be authorized to compel the attendance of absent members in such manner and under such penalties as each house may provide. What does that mean? That means you better show up and do your job. If you don't, you kind of make them look bad, and they can hold you accountable for that. Isn't that awesome?
Does it say wear a mask in there anywhere?
No. Okay. But it does say that they can make their own rules. So if they decide they need to wear a mask, then absolutely. Okay. Each house may determine the rules of its proceedings, punish its members by disorderly behavior, and with the concurrence of 2/3, expel a member. Yes. Each house, both the House of Representatives and the Senate, has the ability within each prospective house to get rid of any member that they deem not qualified for the job. That's actually pretty stinking awesome. By 2/3 vote. That's pretty cool. All right. And of which case, again, this is not predicated upon any other thing, as in the Senate has absolutely no voice in what goes on in the House, and the House has absolutely no voice in what goes on in the Senate. Very important. Next paragraph. Each house shall keep a journal of its proceedings, and from time to time publish the same excepting such parts as may, in their judgment, require secrecy, because secrecy sometimes is important. It really is. And the yeas and the nays of the members of each house shall, on any question, at the desire of 1/5 of each present, be entered onto the journal. In other words, a roll call vote by 1/5 of the members, they have to write all those yeas and nays in there. That's part of it. That's part of the being in the journal. Why is that important, guys? You see, that journal is part of public record. Mm-hmm. Okay. And in order to hold the feet to the fire of your representatives, you got to know what it is that they're doing when they're at work.
Right.
If you don't, how can you hold them accountable? If you don't see the yeas and the nays, how can you hold them accountable?
Very true.
That is very important.
Kind of what we talked about before on the local level.
Exactly. Holding them accountable. So neither a house, last paragraph, neither house during the session of Congress shall, without the consent of the other, adjourn for more than 3 days, nor to any other place than that in which the two houses shall be sitting. In other words, they have a place they're supposed to be at. They're supposed to be relatively close to each other because they are, like two houses or two houses of the same branch. It's important that they work at least within close proximity. And if one house is working, the other house is supposed to be working. Kind of like what just happened recently, how the Senate was doing business and all the House of Representatives, they were home because they're too good. Okay. Technically speaking, that wasn't constitutional. Technically speaking. They were basically holding phone conferences type things, and of which case, I mean, it's like, if the Senate agrees to it, it's okay. That's the only time where one house can actually affect the proceedings and how the other house operates. That's like the only instance, because when one is present, the other is supposed to be there. They have to be within close proximity of each other. Okay, that's the only time. All right, so any questions? Because that's really it. That's it. You know. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
There wasn't really a whole heck of a lot in that. I mean, with this one, a lot of this stuff is straightforward as of this point. Okay, a lot of these are pretty straightforward. The thing where we're going to come into controversy kind of starts in Section 7. That one's controversial because there's a lot of stuff in here with different things going on, different powers that the legislative branch has, you know, raising money, taxation, you know, with Army, stuff like that in there. Section 7 is actually going to be quite entertaining because there's a lot to break down in Section 7. I mean, good grief. Section 7 in this thing covers, like, put near all of page 5, all of page 6, and put near all of, where's 8? Oh, there's 8. Okay, so all of page 5. Let's just say one full page. Crap. Page 8. Okay, section 8 is the one that's going to be, because that's the one that's put near 2 freaking pages that covers, you know, more or less the powers that your legislative branch has. Okay, so section 8 is going to be a good one. Section 7 is kind of where some of my issues start, per se. I have issues with Section 7. Not that I have issues with Section 7, but Section 7 is very, very important whenever we're going to talk about something. We're going to lay the foundation for something in Section 7 of Article 1, Section 1, or Article 1, Section 7. We're going to lay the foundation for a beef I have on how things are done with the Bill of Rights. Oh, it's so exciting. I hate it. Anyway. Yeah, pretty straightforward on this one. I mean, there's not a whole heck of a lot in there. It's just more or less the differences between the Senate and the House of Representatives, who each represent, their qualifications for becoming a House member and a Senate member, and that's kind of more or less the extent of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got anything else to add?
No.
Sweet. All right, guys.
Not on that. How's your day going?
It's going good.
Going good?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So, pretty straightforward on that, but
yeah.
Always good to go over things and refresh in your mind.
Oh, absolutely.
You know.
Absolutely. You know, and that's one of them things that we've kind of talked about this a little bit. I got to be honest with you guys. Okay? Let me be honest. I really don't know jack about Illinois Constitution. I don't remember diddly squat about the Illinois Constitution. You know, because you brought up something as far as, you know, where in the Constitution, you know, this was off air, you know, where in the Constitution is the powers of, you know, Governor, you know, Gravy Sweats Pritzker to do what he's doing. I'm like, well, technically speaking, that's in the, you know, the 10th Amendment. These are just limitations on the executive branch, and the legislative branch and the judicial branch of the federal government doesn't say anything about local within the state. That is all done in the Illinois state Constitution, and of which case I'm actually kind of ignorant on it.
That could be later on down the road something to go over as well.
You know, that could be, but in a matter of speaking, considering I'm not doing 50 different things covering 50 different states, I just am not doing it. I love you guys. I really do. I ain't doing that. You know, this is going to be enough of a thing just doing the, you know, federal Constitution, Bill of Rights, Declaration of Independence, and also at a later date doing the Federalist and the Anti-Federalist papers. That's going to be enough. I'm not covering constitutions in 50 different states.
That's a lot of 5-hour shows.
That is no 5-hour shows. I don't know what you're talking about. All right, guys. Well, I hope you guys get a little bit of edification out of this. I really do. I hope it wasn't too quick of a rundown. Like I said, I mean, there's really nothing of any, you know, with the exception of the Senate, you know, on how they get chosen, picked, and now elected. bogus. There's not really nothing of any controversy in, the first half of Article 1, Section 1. And it's just regarding the legislative branch. That's it. So, next one is bound to be entertaining, and you guys will definitely get some entertainment out of that one. All right, guys. So, that's all I got for today. You guys have yourself a wonderful evening. Good night. Sleep tight. And if the bed bugs bite, well, by golly, bite them back. This has been The HoHo Show. For more information, you can head to thehohoshow.com. And for the merchandise store, you can head on over to stinkpickle.com. That is stinkpickle.com. Until next time.